We defended these guys for years. We've talked about these guys. I mean, they've just won back to back with number one seed, 68 games, and this is what you do in one of the biggest playoff games of your life. I I've never really lashed out on any single player, but Shea, bro, you are about to win MVP. You are supposed to be designated as one of the top two or three best basketball players in the world. You have not proven yourself yet. These are the moments where players assert themselves, players rise to dominance. Every player has their moment. And I know it might come next game, it might come later. But are we serious? If Shea played a bad game, if Shea played a bad game, like he played bad against Memphis, the Thunder win this game. How do you go 0 of 8 or 0 of 9 or it could be 0 for 10? I do not even know the specific number. Whatever he was in the clutch or in his final shots. How is that physically possible? Shea, you you played maybe your best playoff game ever, lost game. And I'm not gonna act like Shea had such a easy task. He did not have an easy task. Denver was throwing insane coverages at him. He was uncomfortable. I totally understand him maybe having a little bit of struggles, right? Him not being able to pull out a 40 signature performance. That's cool. But if you're not getting going, if you cannot find your space, defer it, bro. We had Jalen Williams had it going all night. Jalen Williams was the only player who was able to make shots in the clutch. Jalen Williams was the guy who hit that 3-pointer to put them up one. And obviously, I'm not saying that Shea should just ice himself out. Shea should just like say, "Oh, I missed a few shots. I should never go back." But going 0 for 9 in the clutch, and he he just couldn't find anything. And I'm not going to try to put too much on him, right? Because there's so many issues that happen in this game. There's so many issues. This will probably be one of my longer videos, right? There's so many issues that happen in this game. Coaching, the bigs, um, the late game offense, the spacing. There's hundreds of issues, bro. Honestly, but end of the day, issues are sugar coated by our best players, right? Mistakes are sugar coated by our best players. Once your best player goes 0 for 8 or 0 for 9 in a clutch, your margin for error is small. I mean, he went what 7, and he wasn't even. If he was good in the first 3 quarters, it's another thing. He just closed the game horrible, right? That's one thing. He was not good for the first half. He was horrible in the first half. Shea could not find a goal in the first half. When Shea was on the court today, the Thunder had a 91 or 92 offensive rating. That was one of the worst playoff games I've. That's the worst playoff game Shea's ever played, easily. But that's one of the worst playoff games we've seen by a high volume star in a while. And I, again, like we've came to the point where we have defended Shea, rightfully so, because again, I still believe in Shea. I still believe in Shea. I'm not giving up on Shea. But like this type of game is not doing yourself any favors, and it should not. Like anything that comes Shea's way over the next 24, 48 hours is completely valid. You have your chance to shut up whatever critics there are, whatever questions there are about this team, about your play, about your playoff play. And again, if he struggled, that's one thing. To go blank, to shoot blanks, to go 0 for 9, he was. I'm gonna talk more of like what he was actually doing after that little rant, but like he forced a lot of shots. I hate when he forces these 3-point shots, right? Like they're playing the jump shot because they know help's behind them. You're not getting that jump shot off, bro. You're not like Anthony Edwards level shooter. You're not a Curry level shooter where you can just spam step backs and it's automatically a good shot. You use a step back as a counter, right? When teams are playing the drive heavily. They're not playing the drive heavily because they already have help there. And shout out to Denver. They did a much better job at disguising their help, doing all the like they made it way too easy for shit, right? They just put two on the ball every single time. They just zoned up in the middle. Jokic was completely out of position. Easy offense, right? They did a much better job. They sent pressure from his blind spots. They they were taking away his right hand, and for some reason Shea was going heavily to his right all game, and they just completely took Shea out the game. They completely did, and I don't think the first. I think the first half Shea did a fine job, in terms of playmaking. Right, I don't think he played really bad in the first half, but in terms of playmaking, he was pretty fine. I don't think it went too much one way or another. Second half with the he was just YOLOing. He had no process of what was going on the floor, and that's always been like the one criticism of Shai. He's not a high level playmaker. He's not a high level processor. And again, we just saw last game completely have one of the best offensive performances we've seen, and we go on the flip end. Denver makes a change. This is what happened. So over a playoff series, teams adjust. It was never. I'm sorry if someone got a false impression. Right, what happened in Game 2 was not going to be the norm. Denver's a smart team. They're a veteran team. There's a reason why Denver just doesn't allow 150 points every game. Right, they know how to adjust. They've played with Jokic at center for a while. They know how to get moving pieces around him. But also, Shai as a star has to adjust mid game. He has to find other ways to. He needs to find ways to get teams out of their coverages. That's what the best players do, right? And I'm not gonna act like the other opposing MVP candidate or best player in the world, Jokic, wasn't terrible today either. We can talk about that in a real second. How good the Thunder played Jokic. That's a positive, and this series is not over. I mean, end of the day, they lost an overtime game, and they lost a game at a game winner. This could easily be 2-1 or 3-0 right now with some different luck. But the issue is, why are we at this stage even? Why are we struggling when we get to this stage? That's the two questions. Why is this a close game, and why can we not finish these close games out? And it's because really, every time in the clutch, the Thunder's offense cannot they just straight up cannot counter what that Denver throws at them. Defenses in the clutch, they throw out different types of looks, obviously to catch you off guard. They bring a lot more pressure, and they'll usually try to slow the offense down. And this is also a Mark Daigneault problem, because why does this keep happening to the Thunder in late playoff games? Well, why are they so bad in the clutch? Only clutch game they've really won in the playoffs that, like in a high leverage playoff game, second round Mavericks in this year, was Game 4, and that was just pure like Shai bailing you out with impossible mid range shots. That was literally the offense. The Thunder have not been able to run good late game offense in the playoffs ever, and I think that speaks to a few things. It speaks to Shai and his playstyle, right? It speaks to I think Chet was also a really big issue offensively in that game. I'll talk about that in a second. It also speaks to like offensive context around Shai. Teams just don't respect the shooters. They don't respect the offensive talent around him, and that will just never change. Um, until you change the roster, obviously. Like, you can preach internal development, you can shoot more 3 pointers, but teams will just not respect it. Teams won't respect that because they're not natural shooters. They're not fast shooters, right? They're not true volume shooters. Until you get a guy like Cameron Johnson or a guy like Michael Porter Jr. that they have on the other end, who's a true, I'll shoot immediately once I get it, no matter how little space I have. That's not going to change. So this is just a really, beyond losing a game today was obviously awful outcome, but the same issues keep coming up, and this is really becoming like a really concerning trajectory for this team. Like, long in terms of this roster build, I think I wholeheartedly believe they'll win the series, and they can still make a very deep run. But if they don't, like, this entire roster construction makeup of playing this such defensive slanted lineups and playing with such um little true shooters is definitely going to be tested. And time again, like, I just really want to see the Thunder play good late game offense in one of these games, and just haven't. Um, I'll chill off of Shai for a while. I'll probably mention him, obviously, because he's our best player. But let's talk about something that good happened today. Jalen Williams played his best playoff game on the other hand. I mean, the overtime was pretty rough, but at that point, because they knew the ball was going to Jada, because Shai was struggling so much at that point, just couldn't. He was so out of his creation rhythm. It was insane. So Jada stepped up huge today. Off the catch, he was fast, attacking off switches. He was hitting some tough mid ranges, over the top shot making. He had a horrible game one. Probably, again, I'm using this term a lot, but it truly was his worst game in the playoffs. In game one, playing way too fast, just chucking up quick shots. Today he looked very in tempo. He still obviously had his few moments where he's rushed. He's not being able to decelerate at the rim, leaving a few points on the table. But For his second option, that's a completely all NBA caliber performance. More than that, I mean, 32 points, very good efficiency. Got to the line, was shooting his 3 pointers, hit the big 3 pointer to go up. Really big stuff from them. But like again, I don't want to go back to Shai, but like there's definitely like a certain question, which again will be looming for the rest of the series and onwards. Of Shai and Jada are both two high usage offensive players, but they're also not high level playmakers, right? So I think the question is like, how do you best structure around that? How do you best utilize them? Is that sustainable in a playoff setting, right? Like, is this because this offense just keeps falling in the playoffs? It just truly does, right? And we have a few outliers like game two, game one, Memphis, game one Memphis, game two Denver. A few outliers here and there, but for the most part, the the median sample is that this team just doesn't generate good offense come in these type of settings. They don't shoot well from free. 25% from free today, and this is, I mean, that is the reason why I'm optimistic for the series still, because like the 3 point difference was insane. Denver shot 40%. Thunder left a lot of points off the line. I have no idea where this comes from. You can throw it to the altitude today, but like they've been pretty bad at the line all postseason. Chet, really good first half, doing the little things. They actively looked for him at the dunk spot. They actively looked for him in general, just around the rim. But my God, bro, like late in that second half, it was rough inside. His timing he's one of the best rim protectors in the league of our time, really. But his timing was completely off. He let Murray finish multiple times on him. Uh, he fouled Gordon. He was just. I feel like the thing is like off ball defensively, Chet hasn't really been that great this series, and it's just really like you're focusing so much on Jokic. You have to really time up everything at such a high rate. That's why roaming off Gordon isn't this like crazy groundbreaking strategy, because it doesn't really work, especially now that he can shoot. So like um and then he just can't put the ball on the floor. Every time he puts the ball on the floor, it's almost a turnover unless he's playing Jokic, right? Jokic, he can get by, but like he's still so raw offensively. He's so raw offensively that really you can't really trust him much outside of like being an interior weapon, giving you some spacing for free. But like even then, he's not really hitting shots. I thought he was really good on the boards. Good sign. Let's talk about good sign. The Thunder have been really good on the boards the last two games, and they kept it today. I think that might have tipped a bit in the end, but like overall, they control the glass game. They control the possession game. Again, um, Denver had more turnovers. They had 13 less offensive rebounds. Denver had 13 less offensive rebounds than OKC. So again, a complete switch of game one. And man, every time I'm looking at my box score on my right screen. Every time I just get more angry. Like, damn, dude, you cannot lose this game, man. I mean, game four is beyond a must win. I think the J will Chet lineups is something you actually have to implement. Like maybe if it's a potential clutch time option, but I think Hartstein done a more than good job neutralizing Jokic, so like you can live with that right now. But like let's talk about the Jokic defense again. Let's stay on a more positive note. I'll finish off the video with rant probably, but they have completely locked in on taking away Jokic's spots, and making him a jump shooter, and he's not gonna shoot over 10 bad again. He's an elite shooter, but like keeping away from the rim, keeping away from his best spots is obviously the best way to play him. And you'll get game where shoots 5 or 10 from free, which is scary. You wasted a horrible Jokic shooting game. Um, but even beyond the shooting, they're doing really good at forcing him in turnovers. He had 8 turnovers today, and I'm pretty sure he is averaging like 7 turnovers on the series, and offensive fouls, live ball turnovers, few offensive interferences somehow. Really, you're getting to him in a multitude of ways. So again, I do feel good that you're limiting Denver's best player by far. Obviously, to this extent, that makes me feel good, but also doesn't really comfort me. The fact that the team with 15 less possessions, and their best player shooting awful from the field, shooting awful from free. He's not gonna shoot 0 for 10 again, and you can't steal that game. You can't steal that game in Denver. So like it doesn't give me much optimism. And really, again, this series is really gonna be a blowouts from the Thunder and close games by Denver. Denver doesn't blow out teams. Hopefully, I don't jinx it, but like they don't really blow out teams, right? They win playing this slow game, playing the possession game, late in the fourth quarter, right? Where Jokic's playmaking becomes more valuable because you're guaranteed like a decent look, stuff like that. But you're 0 for 2 in clutch games now. They're 1 for 4, 1 for 5 in clutch games in the last 2 second rounds. It doesn't give me much optimism that they can. It doesn't give me much optimism that this is going to be some sustainable formula going forward. Because what happens when you don't have the roster construction where you have the ability to go on these defensive runs and actually blow out games, right? Because eventually guys like Cruz or Hardside aren't going to be around forever, right? So like just like a long term piece of that, like really, really so many rough negative thoughts after this game. Caruso was really rough offensively. I still think he had an impact defensively. So why is Isaiah Joe playing 3 minutes in a game where you just can't score offensively? I watched the game live, obviously. I watched the game with full people, 80 people in chat watching with me, telling me if I missed something, right? I don't think Isaiah Joe did anything in 3 minutes to warn him, getting completely taken away from not playing. And you need shooting in this series. I don't know why he has such a short leash. Why does he have such a short leash? I don't understand that. Um, man, like they've gone tighten up, bro. I thought Wiggins was really decent offensively. Dude, Dort. Okay, let's talk about Dort. So why is Dort guaranteed to play 34 minutes no matter how the game's going? Because he was terrible today. He wasn't shooting. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot, but he also wasn't shooting. So that's two things. If you're not gonna be able to shoot, that's one thing. But you're not even looking to shoot, so you don't even have any gravity, and you're just completely leaving him open the entire series. That's literally their plan, to leave Dort, Cruz, on Kaysen completely naked for free. That's one thing. That's one thing. That's just one. He's dying on screens. He's not. Didn't do a great job on Jamal today. Jamal got a lot of switches. Jamal, uh, there was a lot of times where Chet or Jay Will or Hartenstein, whoever was in drop, had to like step up because Dort wasn't able to get over the screen, and they got an advantage out of that. MPJ was an insane shooter today. I don't really want to overlook into that, but Aaron Gordon was hitting pull up threes. I mean, that's one other thing, but man, this is gonna. Oh, let's talk about Hartenstein. I'm just looking again. I keep thinking about new things, but Hartenstein was awful. It's actually kind of funny because the ESPN commentator said that Hartenstein was shooting 82% of floaters this year, which was obviously not true. He's shooting high, but not 82%. And right after that, he doesn't make any floater for the rest of the game. It feels like he went 5 of 14. He was airballing from the side. He was. I mean, again, he's getting a lot of shots. He got 14 shots today, a lot of middle of the floor. And if you're not able to capitalize off that, there's only so much you can do, right? Like, but it all circles back to Shai. It all circles back to Shai. At the end of the day, going forward in the series, I still have them winning. I truly do believe they're a much better team. I'm still not. I'm still not looking at Denver and saying like they figured something out. I'm looking at Denver and saying the Thunder have yet to learn from their mistakes. That's how I'm looking after this game. Because the Thunder are playing Denver's offense really well. They figured out their offensive rebounding. They've limited Jokic. I mean, what else? What else? Realistically, those are like the 2 3 things you need to do against Denver. It's just that you just don't understand how to score against certain types of defenses, and it just keeps on killing you. I was so excited after game two. I made a full on video about it, about how good the offense looked, how good Shai looked, and they come out with this energy and just feels deflating again. But it's 2-1. It's 2-1 end of the day. I'm sorry if I was overly mad, emotional, something like that, but probably most Thunder fans are right now, so I'm sorry. But if you have any questions or thoughts, let me know in the comments. I'll respond to everything. I promise you, anything I'll respond to. Because I really just want to talk about this game and really just want to vent my thoughts right now. But game four is the biggest game of most of these players' lives. You can say game 6, but I honestly think this is bigger because like is this year is like might be your best chance at a championship. Who knows? Who knows? The NBA is so unpredictable, and we see how open the East is right now, right? Some of the other West teams are injured. Like you've got to take advantage of this. This is a must win. This is, I mean, that sounds obvious, but like these are career defining moments, man. And number two, Shai. I know he'll come better from this. I believe in him. I've seen him before, but this is gonna take a this is gonna be a tough pill to swallow for next however so hours till Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. It's gonna be really tough to digest, but I'll see y'all. Um, I'm generally just heartbroken, man.